Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day to the participant and organizer of International Conference Humanities, Economy, Technology 2020. Before I start with my presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Nurul Fathiha binti Ibrahim and I'm from Mersing Polytechnic. Today I'll be presenting on my paper entitled Psychological Views on the Importance of Interest and Motivation in Teaching Profession. Teachers or educators are always known as important stakeholders to the educational system. In fact, in ensuring the goal of educational system, there are many challenges that educators have to deal with. As a result, they are expected to prepare themselves in every aspect to overcome any problems that may arise in any circumstances. Thus, educators need to be equipped in terms of pedagogical knowledge and also soft skills. The soft skills that we are going to focus on today can be in terms on interest and motivation in teaching, in preparing teachers to be successful and holistic educators. It is believed that interest and motivation towards teaching play an important role for them to perform in their respective institutions. Therefore, in this part of literature review, I will be presenting on the definition of interest and motivation according to psychological views, the importance of interest in choosing teaching as profession, and last but not least, on the effects of interest and motivation in the profession. So, interest is strongly associated with one's attitude. An attitude is one's desire, goal, or want, while interest is considered as one's activated attitude that can drive oneself to materialize it. This is supported by Ramel 1976 stated, and interest is thus a power, the force an attitude has towards manifestation in a person's behavior. According to educational research, there are two categories of interest, which are individual and situational interests. So, Anley et al. In 2002 mentioned that individual interest is considered to be an individual predisposition to attend to certain stimuli, events, and objects. Meanwhile, situational interest is elicited by certain aspects of the environment. The research support to the Shifley in 1991 mentioned that latent characteristic is an individual's association of feelings with the object or topic. It is something that already existed within an individual. For example, the feeling of excitement when the individual is surrounded by the object or topic is considered as a latent characteristic. So, interest plays an important role in ensuring educators' good performance in institution. This is supported by the research conducted by Cricket et al. In 2005 on the reason of the practicum teachers decide to choose a teaching program. And one of the findings from the second year pedagogy student, a practicum student, who mentioned that in becoming a teacher, a person needs to have a genuine wish or interest. This is because the profession is really demanding and it requires a heavy responsibility. Meanwhile, Morgan et al. In 2001 mentioned that interest, according to traditional vocational and intrinsic motivation perspectives, is developed from feelings of competence and control that arise from mastery of the environment. Apart from that, we can see the reason why teachers or educators choose to be in the line need to be considered in identifying their interest in teaching according to measures for statuses of identity. So the reason may vary, and they choose teaching because they have the genuine wish, passion, or due to the external factor. Meanwhile, motivation can be defined as process whereby goal-directed activity is instigated and sustained. From the research done, we can conclude that motivation is desire to achieve the goal or objective of an individual. Okay, there are two types of motivation that are usually discussed in educational psychology, which are extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. According to Sandrock, in 2010, extrinsic motivation involves doing something to obtain something else, a means to an end. He also added that extrinsic motivation is often affected by external reward. This is supported by Ryan and DC 2000 described that extrinsic motivation as an act of doing something because it leads to a separable outcome. So in discussing to our context, teachers may join teaching profession due to the stable job, because teaching is always seen as a stable job, the monthly salary, and due to the high status perceived by the community, because teaching is always seen as a noble job. Meanwhile, the definition of intrinsic motivation, it involves the internal motivation to do something for its own sake and end itself. The doing of an activity for its inherent satisfaction rather than for some separable consequence. Ryan and Steele, cited in Ryan and DC 2000, stated that intrinsic motivation has emerged as important phenomena for educators, a natural wellspring of learning and achievement that can be systematically catalyzed or undermined by parent and teacher practices. Meanwhile, extrinsic motivation due to our context, teacher who has genuine interest, motivation, passion towards teaching, they grow it within themselves without any reward or recognition from the superiors. Okay, however, Mish in 2013 stated that goals may not be well formulated and may change with experience. It means that it is acceptable for an individual to attain the goals due to incentive given in the first place, as long as he or she has the willingness to complete the task again. Eventually, one will see the importance or benefit of the task and gradually fulfilling the task driven by one's need. It can be related to the context. We found that the teachers or educators might not have the passion for teaching in the first place. However, as they receive recognitions or acknowledgement from the stakeholders, they gradually become intrinsically motivated to teach and ready to face challenges. And last but not least, the effect of motivation and interest in teaching will be affected the students. According to Otomo, in his study, emphasized that teachers become educators because of their motivation to teach. If an individual has no motivation, then they will not be effective in educating and teaching. The research reveals that there is significant finding between ongoing profession training with education's motivation. Guajardo in 2011 also states that the more basic needs and environmental factors are adequately met, the teachers become more motivated to perform in schools. It means motivation and interest is not only required when teachers want to or would like to join the teaching profession, but it is important to make sure that teachers or educators will be able to sustain in this line for a long time. And they need to have the support from the superiors. And Dr. Jamie Patil also emphasized that Teacher education and teachers are the major instruments for achieving educational goal and national development. Hence, no nation can rise above the standard of its educational systems. Teaching is also the core profession and the key agent of change in today's knowledge society. So we can see from the past research, the teachers or educators are playing a big role in ensuring that the nation or the students who they actually produce or in shaping their personality will be the agent or will be the key to develop the countries, whereby according to Silikos and Cetin, teachers develop a positive attitude towards their profession, whereby they will develop critical thinking, motivate their students more easily, and adapt the verbal and non-verbal messages to their students. So in conclusion, interest and motivation are important for educators to remain in the profession. These elements will give a great impact on students, the educational system, and even the country in the long term. Even though there are educators who do not find the interest in teaching beforehand, past research has proven that the assistance of the stakeholders and positive work climate has contributed to the development of interest and motivation among them. Hence, one of ways to be constantly interested and motivated to the teaching service is to engage in positive support groups in the institutions. By doing so, educators can seek help from the supervisors and colleagues, especially when they are facing challenges in carrying out the job responsibilities. So that's all from me. Thank you for listening.